Hey friend, Chris here from WhyLogicProRules.com, the website that helps you get the most you can out of Apple's Logic Pro. Today I want to show you an awesome technique using Pedalboard to achieve that characterful or analog style of stereo delay. Pedalboard is awesome, and I feel like so many folks overlook how easy and awesome it actually is just because I feel like the line of thinking is Pedalboard goes with guitar tracks. The end. But you can use Pedalboard for any track type in your projects. And again, you can just use it to dial in simply and easily and quickly that vibe or that analog flavor for all sorts of tracks. And I know it's a plugin, it's not analog gear, but still, it does the thing and it does it well. So I'm going to apply this technique to a guitar lead after the fact, but I use this technique all the time for adding that depth and dimension and vibe for my vocal tracks. So take this idea and run with it. We're going to take a listen to a riff that I'm writing for an upcoming series for the channel and website. I'm really excited about the series. I've been thinking about it for like a year, and I'm finally getting around to doing it. Let's take a listen to this riff, the first two sections, and pay special attention to the guitar lead and just that delay dimension that's going on with it. And then we'll dig in. Here we go. Cool. Do you hear those delay tails that are continuing on even though I hit stop? I love stuff like that. So let's take a look at our guitar lead track here. And we can see the channel strip is right here in the inspector. I'm sending in send field 1 to bus 7, which is sending to an aux that I'm calling the lead delay. And it has an instance of Pedalboard. And Pedalboard is running two instances, a left and a right-hand side, of the true tape delay. This pedal is awesome. And in addition to the true tape delays, we also have Springbox, which is a spring reverb pedal. And beyond that, past the mixer pedal right here, we have a graphic EQ and the squash compressor just to tighten things up a bit. And then also compressor after that, which we'll dig into later in the video. So let's take a listen just to the guitar soloed, and I'll bypass and reintroduce, or mute and reintroduce, the delay effect that's going on from Pedalboard, so you can get a sense of what it's adding. Here we go. Awesome. So you can hear it's adding this otherworldly feel to the lead guitar here. So what is going on? Well, what I'm doing is I'm running, again, two instances of each the true tape delay at about a quarter note time if we hover right here. And then I have also two instances of the Springbox spring reverb just to add a touch, like 40% mix, just to add a little bit of reverb to the delay. And we're running each set of pedals in parallel using the splitter and mixer pedals. So we basically have split this guitar lead into two signals. I'm running the upper signal on the left-hand side using the pan knob here. I pan to the left. And the bottom parallel signal to the right using the other pan knob. Of course, it's just easy to spit all this information at you. Let's actually rebuild this Pedalboard instance by opening a new instance of Pedalboard. Let's bypass the two plugins, open a new audio effect, and go to amps and pedals down to Pedalboard. And it's worth noting that this aux is a stereo aux, right? So from here, I'm going to navigate down to the true tape delay, drag it into our Pedalboard. We're also going to drag in the splitter and the mixer. They go hand in hand, so if you drag one in, you get both. It is worth pointing out, if there are no pedals in your Pedalboard, if we get rid of true tape delay, we lose the splitter and mixer. And if we try to drag in one or the other, they don't end up in the Pedalboard until we have a pedal living inside it besides the splitter and mixer. So when we drag in the splitter and mixer in the top portion of Pedalboard, this panel slides away to show us that we now have two parallel signals at which we can process. So we're processing a guitar lead in parallel because we're using a bus to an aux. And then we took that aux and split it into two. So if we take a listen to just the delay here, we're going to hear both a clean version and a delayed version. Let's set the mix to 100% so we can really hear that. Set the time here to maybe quarter note. Here we go. And we can adjust this slider here to either be the top portion of the signal or the bottom portion. So either the dry signal or the delay. Take a listen. Pretty interesting, right? So we have either or in this case. But what I want to create is a stereo delay using the True Tape delay. So if we hold Option, click on the True Tape delay and drag it over, we can copy and paste a second instance of this pedal. And now we can see we have two instances of this pedal, but they're running in series on one path and not on both. If you hover your mouse over one of the titles here for the delay and click on it, we move this one instance of the True Tape delay to the other parallel path. This is where it all kind of comes together, because now if we go to the mixer here, and if we pan the top portion here to the left-hand side and the bottom parallel path to the right-hand side, we now have two delays. Let's take a listen and see if we hear a stereo delay effect. Okay, there's nothing much different there, right? It all sounds like it's in mono, and that's because both of these pedals are running at the exact same time, and thus they're kind of canceling each other out. They're exactly the same, and that's the same with anything that you have two of. If you duplicate a guitar track and hard pan them left and right, if they're the exact same guitar performance, they just sum to mono. So now let's take the first instance, disable the sync here, which syncs the timing to the BPM of the project. Let's adjust the timing to maybe like 460 milliseconds. So it's just a little off time from the right-hand side. And let's now take a listen and see if this is still summing to mono. Okay, so now we have a left and a right-hand side. We're getting that stereo feel. It's sounding a bit muddy, but that's a-okay because we can fine-tune the tone of these guitar pedals. So let's actually drive up the high cut because I want more really upper mids. And let's also drive up the low cut so we're removing some of the bottom end and the mids. I'm also going to adjust the feedback time here, maybe like about 90.5 or so. And let's take a listen now to how this sounds. All right, so less muddy, right? We should really hear this in context, so let's bring in just the guitar. All right, we're starting to get that vibe for this guitar track. Let's hear the guitar in the mix to see how it sounds. Okay, it's sounding good, still sounds kind of muddy to me, and I really want this particular delay to have really an otherworldly feel that makes me feel like I'm getting swept up with it. So let's introduce the spring box to our pedal board, and let's move this one to the left-hand side. Hold Option, click and drag a second instance of spring box, and move that to the right-hand side. Let's hear what this sounds like, just the guitar with spring box. Starting to get a little reverb in there. Let's actually dial down the mix knob to about 40%. I'm also going to adjust the style to a resonance style. And let's hear what that sounds like. Sweet. The only other thing is probably to dial up the tone. So we're getting as much of a bright signal as we possibly can. Awesome. Usually you want to kind of roll off the top end of reverbs and delays so they don't poke out too much. But in this case, because we're working with these characterful style pedals, they're a bit too muddy. So that's why I'm trying to add a bit of brightness. In addition to that, we're now going to introduce the graphic EQ after our entire splitter, mixer, parallel channels. So once everything sums back together, we're able to add some EQ to the entire parallel delay that we have here. Using the graphic EQ, let's try to dial back some of that 400 to 500 hertz area just to get rid of some of the mud. And let's also boost right around 6 to 7K right at the top here to just kind of dig it out a little more. Sweet. And the last thing I'm going to do is we pair it with the guitar. That sounded pretty good. I just want to make sure the delays are stable behind the guitar, right? So let's add some compression using the squash compressor. And I'm just going to dial this in such a way that just feels stable to me. Nothing too crazy. Crazy, right? So with all that in place, which may be way more than you need, totally up to you. But in this case, it felt good to me. We have, again, delay and reverb on the left, delay and reverb on the right. They're being panned using the mixer. EQ to remove some of the mud, boost some of those upper mids, and also the squash compressor just to kind of like tighten things up. And let's hear it now in the mix. Awesome. So we're getting that otherworldly sort of swirling delay effect for our lead guitar. Again, I would do this just the same for vocals as well, maybe at an eighth note value, sometimes a quarter note. The only other thing that I'm feeling about our pedalboard delay effect that we have going on here is I feel like right in the center, there's a little too much commotion, and it's actually maybe obscuring or just filling the space a little too much for the clean lead here. So it's just sounding a bit muddy still to me. If we take a listen to just the guitar with the delay, it's just a little too bunchy right in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another instance of the compressor under Dynamics, Compressor, but I want to open a dual mono instance of compressor. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the three dots or the ellipsis right here, and we're going to set the orientation from stereo to mid-side. And let's navigate to the mid portion of the compressor. So let's couple the controls. I'll set the ratio to 1:1 and the threshold to 0. So both sides now are set to the same value, so they're not going to compress this delay track at all, as is. And then let's decouple, and let's focus on just the mid portion of this aux. So we're focusing on the mid area, not the sides, not the far reaches of this delay track. We solo just the delay here. And if we increase the ratio, maybe 3:1, I'm going to start driving down the threshold to compress just the center of the delay effect. You know, even though we've created a stereo delay, there's stuff banging around in the middle, and I just want to tuck it down. So let's take a listen as I reduce the threshold. So we're creating sort of like a wider effect by compressing just the mid territory of the delay. If we now navigate to the side portion, and I'm going to boost the output gain of just the sides by a decibel. So again, the side compressor is doing nothing. But the mid portion is compressing. But on the side, I've boosted the signal. So what we're doing basically is creating more difference between the mid or center territory and the sides. And we're really overemphasizing the sides of the delay. Now, if we take a listen to this guitar lead in the mix, I'll bypass and reintroduce the compressor so you can hear what kind of effect it's imparting on our pedalboard stereo delay. Take a listen. And lastly, the last time you'll have to hear this lead for this video, I will do this also in solo so you can hear that effect really well. Here we go. And just like that, we added an awesome stereo delay to our guitar lead using Pedalboard. And it doesn't have to just be guitars. It could be vocals. It could be any track you prefer. And don't be afraid to dig into the other pedals for your other tracks in Pedalboard. So things like the tie-dye delay, the blue echo are awesome. But beyond that, like total tremolo, phase tripper, the flange factory, Dr. Octave, all this stuff is very usable and very awesome. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, subscribe to the channel down below to Why Logic Pro Rules or on the website itself, whylogicprorules.com. Every week I'm posting new videos, emails, and posts to help you get the most you can out of Apple's Logic Pro. Thanks so much.